Today, we are jumping into Ezekiel chapter 17. And let me tell you, this isn't some dry, ancient text. It's basically a political thriller, full of symbols, divine judgment, and then, right at the end, this incredible twist of hope. It all centers on one king, one sacred oath, and one very, very broken promise.
So the whole story really boils down to this one question. What happens when a leader breaks a promise that was made in God's name? As we're about to see, the fallout from that can literally change the course of a nation.
Okay, to really get what's going on in the real world of Ezekiel, we've got to crack a code first. The chapter opens with this symbolic riddle. It's all about two giant eagles and a grapevine. So before we jump into our main text at verse 11, we need the key.
So here's the cheat sheet for the riddle. It all maps directly to real people and places. That first great eagle, that's Nebuchadnezzar, the powerful king of Babylon. The vine that he plants, that's King Zedekiah of Judah. And the second eagle that shows up? Yep, that's Pharaoh Hophra of Egypt. Just keep those three players in mind and the whole story opens up.
All right, with that code cracked, we're ready for the main event. Starting at verse 11, God basically drops the symbolism and starts explaining the plain, hard truth about King Zedekiah's massive betrayal.
So in verse 12, God steps in and directly challenges the people. He says, "Say now to the rebellious house, do you not know what these things mean?" He is leaving zero room for misinterpretation here. He's laying out the facts, explaining exactly what happened when the Babylonian king came to Jerusalem.
So here's the backstory. In 597 BC, Nebuchadnezzar takes away one king, Jehoiachin, and puts his uncle, Zedekiah, on the throne instead. Now the deal was simple. Judah could still be a kingdom, but it would be a base or low kingdom, basically a dependent state that was only safe as long as it stayed loyal to Babylon. So what even is a vassal king? Well, it means you're a ruler, but you're under the authority of a much bigger empire. Zedekiah's power came directly from Nebuchadnezzar. And their agreement wasn't just some political handshake, it was sealed with the sacred oath, a covenant sworn in the name of the Lord. This was a holy vow. But as verse 15 tells us, Zedekiah rebels. He turns around and sends his people to that second eagle, to Egypt, asking for an army. And then God asks these razor-sharp rhetorical questions. Will he prosper? Can he possibly escape after doing something like this? And the implied answer is a resounding no way. You see, this wasn't just one bad decision. It was a betrayal on so many levels. Politically, he stabbed Nebuchadnezzar in the back. Spiritually, he completely ignored prophets like Jeremiah who were warning him not to trust Egypt. But the biggest crime, the one that really sealed his fate, was breaking an oath that was sworn in God's own name. And when you break a covenant made before God himself, well, there is always a price. And God is about to make that price crystal clear. Just listen to how personal this is for God in verse 19. He says, "As I live, my oath that he has despised." Zedekiah might have made the promise to a foreign king, but God saw it as his own oath. He takes this betrayal personally and declares that he, God himself, will bring the punishment down on Zedekiah's head. And the judgment is laid out like a four-step blueprint for disaster in verses 20 and 21. First, Zedekiah will be captured in God's trap. Second, he'll be dragged to Babylon to face judgment. Third, his armies will be completely wiped out. And fourth, anyone who's left will be scattered to the winds. It's a prophecy of total, absolute destruction. And history, well, it gives us the grim confirmation. In 586 BC, Jerusalem fell. Zedekiah was caught, he was forced to watch his own sons executed, and then his eyes were put out. He was dragged off in chains to Babylon, where he eventually died. It happened exactly as God had said it would. Now, right when the story feels like it's hit rock bottom, when it's all just doom and despair, the chapter takes this wild turn. The camera suddenly shifts from the treacherous human king to God's own unbreakable promise. The imagery just flips completely in verse 22. God says, essentially, my turn. He will be the one doing the planting now. He says he'll take a tender little twig from the very top of the great cedar tree, that's the royal line of David, and he will plant it himself on the high mountain of Israel. I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day.
Zedekiah's kingdom was this low, fragile vine planted by foreign power, and it turned out to be totally faithless. But God's promised kingdom? That's going to be a majestic, towering cedar planted by God himself, and it'll be fruitful, faithful, and a shelter for everyone.
So what's this new kingdom going to be like? Verse 23 gives us this beautiful picture. It'll grow into a goodly cedar. It's going to be fruitful, and under its branches, all fowl of every wing, every kind of bird, will find a home. This is a picture of a universal kingdom, a place of safety and life for all people, established directly by God.
And this is where it all clicks into place. This vision is pointing to something much bigger than the politics of that time. This tender one, this new branch, is a prophecy of the coming Messiah, the one true, faithful king from David's line who will establish a kingdom that lasts forever.
The chapter ends with this powerful declaration. It's like the moral of the whole story. In verse 24, God says that his ultimate goal is to show the entire world who he is. All the trees, meaning all the nations, will know that he is the one who brings down the proud and powerful and lifts up the humble and the lowly. He's the one who brings life out of death.
And that leaves us with a pretty big thought to chew on. Zedekiah, the high and mighty tree, was brought low, but the promised branch, just a tender little twig, was lifted high. So it makes you wonder, where might we see that same pattern at work in our world today? Where are the proud being brought low and the humble being lifted up? It's a question that echoes all the way from Ezekiel's time right into ours.